So here we go again, guys. A coach just downplaying injuries like they're no big deal. First off, we thought that Anthony Richardson just had soreness on his back. Now it turns out he was having some pretty bad back spasms. He could barely walk around his house. He was crawling, as he said. Now, I'm not exactly quoting it, but Anthony Richardson said that he could barely walk around his house. He's crawling around the house in a presser, and then when he was in the presser, he was like, yeah, I'm here, I'm standing. And, Shane Steichen said it was just back soreness. And then he came back the next day and said it was back spasms. And now Anthony Richardson comes back and he says he was barely able to walk around his house. It's the same bullshit, just a different Colts season, guys. I mean, let's go all the way back to the beginning of Chris Ballard's tenure with major injuries to major players. Andrew Luck, shoulder injury, shoulder surgery, had shoulder surgery in that offseason. And we thought he would be back that year. We thought he would be back. We thought he would, but 3 to 4 weeks into the season, everyone was so optimistic he's going to be back soon. They shot him down. They said, no, he's not going to be back this season. And he wasn't even throwing a football yet. He didn't throw like a smaller Nerf football until like the middle of next offseason. So there's one injury where we were Chris Ballard, remind you the Colts were under Chris Ballard at this point. That's another situation where the Colts were just bullshit and everything. Bullshit. And then a couple years later, it's like a Shaquille Leonard, also known as Darius Leonard, referring to him as Shaq for respect. That's what he wants to be called. He had this minor back surgery. I get it. There are surgeries that are less riskier than other back surgeries, but I mean, they said he would be back in 2 months after back surgery. Red flags were thrown up in my head right away. There's something more wrong. He's not going to be back in 2 months from back surgery. Okay, look, I get it. The NFL has world-class medical staff. They know their stuff, but that just doesn't make sense to come back 2 months after a minor back surgery, okay? Middle of the season, he ends up playing against the Broncos, was on a snap count. After that, a week or two after that game, had another back surgery, right? And then after that, he was never seen in a Colts uniform again. He was released by the Colts, and then he was signed by the Eagles. Didn't do much with the Eagles. Released by the Eagles, and he's never been seen again. The trajectory that Shaq was on, he was going to be a Hall of Fame linebacker. Injuries happen, right? He retired I don't even think he retired yet. But unfortunately, he was never the same after that back surgery. And they downplayed that back surgery so much. It had to be something else. It couldn't have been that minor for him to never play again. Things go wrong. Things happen. Sometimes players just don't recover. But don't you think there's something fishy there? And now, a couple years later, another major player with another back injury. First, Shane Steichen just said it was back soreness. Then Shane Steichen came out and said it was back spasms and he won't play in the game. He was out. Now, you could maybe argue that, okay, maybe it was a strategy thing to say, okay, he's not out yet when they knew he wasn't going to play, trying to keep the other team in question to prepare for both quarterbacks. But if you have to revert to those tactics to try and win the games to get an upper hand, then you have bigger issues. You have much bigger issues that can't be fixed in the season right there, right then. Anthony Richardson comes out a couple days later, and he straight up just says, yeah, I was barely able to walk around my house. I was crawling around my house. Like I said, man, it's the same Colts bullshit, just a different Colts season. And the common denominator every time was Chris Ballard. I don't get it. And this doesn't play in Anthony Richardson's favor at all. This actually puts Anthony Richardson's future in much more doubt than what it already was in. Me, I was never sold. Never thought he was going to be the future. When we first drafted him, I got excited. Wow, that arm. Wow, he looks great. He can run. Played the first game or two. And I'm like, yeah, no. This is not the future of the Colts. And I get it. sometimes it takes time for quarterbacks to learn. Right? They're not great right away. Even the ones that know what they're looking at when they come to the NFL. Maybe they don't know what they're looking at, but there's a lot of development to be made. Some quarterbacks don't start. Look at Sam Darnold. Some quarterbacks take a long time to develop. Look at Geno Smith. Some quarterbacks just take a while to develop, and sometimes you have to be patient. But Anthony Richardson has shown nothing. He hasn't shown enough. One season, two seasons in, injury prone. My biggest thing is as you guys know, I'm not gonna go crazy on him in this right now. I've beat this horse dead 30 times already, but he tapped out, third down, red zone, middle of the season because he was tired. When his offensive linemen, they're just as tired trying to protect him as well. And the injury stuff going on, it's too much. It's too much. And now that he has us back, that the Colts are downplaying again. The Colts always downplay injuries. I don't know if it's to sell tickets to get people to keep on going to the games for those major players or what. But regardless of that, it's a culture issue on top of that as well. Miscommunication, misleading the fans. It's the same bullcrap every single year, man. And it's looking like Chris Ballard's on his way out the door. Gus Bradley is probably on his way out the door as well. It's looking like Shane Steichen's going to stay. And I hope Shane Steichen keeps Jim Bob Cooter. I like Jim Bob Cooter. Shane Steichen has been put in a really difficult situation. If I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think Anthony Richardson ever goes back in this season if Shane Steichen was in control. I fully believe that Chris Ballard or Jim Irsay told Shane Steichen that Anthony Richardson has to go back in. Because when Anthony Richardson went back in, the players were just like, what's going on here? They didn't have much of a better chance to win with Flacco. But you can't have the face of the franchise, the face of the city, of a multi-billion-dollar business. Quarterback is making millions of dollars himself. And he taps out because he's tired on third down in the red zone in the middle of the season. As if the guys that were protecting him weren't tired. It just doesn't make much sense to me. But now he's having the back issue, but like I said, I don't think our coaches have been in fully control in who starts and who doesn't, and keeping people accountable. I think Chris Ballard or Jim Irsay is forcing them to play certain players. Maybe they're forcing them, saying, "Hey, these players got to play no matter what. They sell tickets or whatever it is, or whatever it may be." They drafted this guy. Hey, Chris Ballard might be saying, "Hey, this is my guy. Get this guy in there." I can see Chris Ballard doing that. I think Chris Ballard is a more laid-back Ryan Grigson that has a little bit better of an eye for talent. I'm sorry, but I think Chris Ballard is that bad. He's very controlling. I think he's very manipulative. That's what it seems like. It is what it is. It is what it is. And it has to change. The culture has been shit. One of the players have come out and said that from the top down, the front office to all the way down to the players is an issue. There's no vision in the organization. Shane's, Jim Irsay's health, him getting older, he could be a big issue. Chris Ballard, he's definitely an issue. We don't know how much of an issue Jim Irsay is. He could be pretty big of an issue. I don't think Shane Steichen is as big of an issue. He's got a tough job right now, man. He not only has to coach a football team, but he also has to, he's also trying to stay full of class. He's also trying to stay respectful. So with the Frank Reich situation, right? Did Chris Ballard just suck it all out of Frank Reich? Like, did he just ruin Frank Reich? I mean, Frank Reich at the beginning was doing pretty good with the team. Maybe he just didn't want to coach for Chris Ballard. Maybe he didn't want to coach because of Jim Irsay or Chris Ballard. And now it's the same thing happened with Shane Steichen, where they don't have decisions. They don't have any power. They can't make any decisions on their own. They can't be leaders of their own because Chris Ballard or Jim Irsay is breathing on their necks, breathing down their necks. You know what I mean? It's aggravating. And the common denominator for all this happening, 12 different quarterbacks, 9, 10, 11, I don't know how many quarterbacks, many different coaches, many scapegoats later, and Chris Ballard is still the same one on top, and it's the same bullshit that's going on. So I think Chris Ballard's the biggest issue, and I hope that Shane Steichen gets a say. I hope Shane Steichen stays and gets a say in who the next GM is. Because let me tell you this right now: Anthony Richardson doesn't know what he's looking at. Anthony Richardson is not a great quarterback. His mechanics aren't there. He is not very good. He cannot afford to start over with a new head coach in a new system. He cannot afford that. I don't think he's going to be good if he stayed in the same system. So, you better bring in some serious competition for AR next year. Like first or second round drafting a quarterback type of competition. The talent isn't shit. There's talent. Even though there's no culture or vision, there has to be some kind of talent. The Colts won, 7 or 8 games this year so far? We still have 1 game left. Do we beat the Jaguars, win 8 or 9 games? I mean, there's talent there, but there's no backbone. There's no culture. There's nothing in the locker room. And when the front office has no vision, when the front office says the same shit over and over again every offseason, hey, this is my fault. I didn't give these guys the adequate talent. I didn't give these guys what they needed to do to be able to do their jobs. Well, I think Chris Ballard is very manipulative. I think he's, he said, we gotta stay patient. These are my guys, man. You gotta stay patient. These are young guys. He says the same thing every year. Gotta stay patient. We got some young guys. They're gonna ask about some young players. Like, hey, Chris, this secondary, this defense, allowing 4 or 5 points to the Giants, just not a very good defense. He said, yeah, we'll look into that. That's not okay. It's wrong on my part. But these players are young. How much you want to bet? He's going to say, but yeah, these players are young. And, I think Chris Ballard has a heart for the players, but I think that's too much of a heart where it gets in the way of creating a championship football team rather than, a nice place. And it's not a nice place anymore because people go there to win. I think Chris Ballard does have a heart. I think he does care for the players. But I don't think he realizes what he's doing. And I could be very wrong. I could be very wrong here, but these are my observations, man. And I think a lot of Colts fans could agree that Chris Ballard has done nothing but keep this team in a mediocre state since he's gotten here. And let me ask you this question. I asked it in the last video. I'm going to ask it in this video as well. If Chris Ballard never had Andrew Luck at any point in his career, would Chris Ballard have been GM this long? Let's have that be the next video. Let's have that be, the getaway from this video. So, appreciate you guys for tuning in, joining me in this video. I want to hear what you guys think. Let me hear it. Drop a paragraph or two. Drop, vent. I'd like to hear it. I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear from different avenues of thinking, from different perspectives. Maybe there's something I missed here in this video that I'm majorly missing that's very important to this topic. I want to hear it. You guys let me know what you think. Thank you for tuning into the JDW Sports Talk Show where every fan is welcome. We do a lot of really fun shows coming up. We're gonna be creating a new segment called Just a Rival Podcast. Hot Take Tuesday will be staying. It's just been difficult to get that going. I have a lot of stuff going on right now, so that's been on the back burner. Sometimes life gets in the way. But that's been on the back burner, even though, it's for the fans and, it's for you guys. It's not going anywhere. The Just a Rival podcast will be starting up here pretty soon. I'm just trying to get that next week on Friday or Saturday, maybe Thursday. We'll see. We'll have a trailer. I'm going to try to make a trailer for that. A lot of cool stuff coming up. We got a few new team members on, so you're going to be seeing a lot more. Obviously, Tones has been here, has done a couple of prediction videos. So we have a little bit more of a team right now. So, looking forward to building, a fun place for people to talk football, from fans for fans, because we are the fans. We're all, we are all the fans watching football. We all love football at the same time. So I'll see you guys later. JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.